Good morning, everyone. My name is Erin Gilly and I work with Benchmark Mortgage. I decided to put together a little video series talking about reverse mortgages. 10 years. Most of my information that I have gotten, or the most recent book that I've read, is Home Equity and Reverse Mortgages, The Cinderella of the Baby Boomer Retirement by Harlan Akoa. So if anything that I say in this video sparks your interest, you want to know more about it, you can call and ask questions, or I will put the link to this book in the comments so you can order it yourself. I really enjoyed reading this book and I suggest it to anybody who's over the age of 62 or getting close. Reverse mortgages historically have kind of been something scary that people shy away from, that they're not really interested in because they get a bad rap. But here's the situation that we have going on right now. In 2000, 35 million people were over the age of 65. They are projecting by the year 2030 that 70 million people are going to be over the age of 65. So that's double the amount of people who are going to be in a different age bracket than they are right now. And they're holding roughly $10 trillion in equity in their homes. So a giant bulk of the wealth is sitting in equity and home ownership. The issue becomes is that people nowadays are living longer than they were historically. They're needing more health care, they're needing more long-term care. The costs of that are exponential. They're spending more money, they're racking up credit card debt because of inflation, and they can't keep up with just their Social Security income and their retirement income, and they're saving less. So before, when somebody was planning for retirement 20 years ago, what they thought was going to be a big enough nest egg, they're finding out now that it's not. The way that people normally think a lot of the times is that they want to give their house to their children owned free and clear, and that's their inheritance to their kids. It's one of their most things they own, and that's how they want to pass along their wealth to the next generation. So a reverse mortgage is also known as a HECM, that's H-E-C-M, and it's a home equity conversion mortgage. So I will use those terms interchangeably, but they are the exact same thing. So HECMs are insured by FHA, the Federal Housing Administration. In most cases, there are some private products that can be used, but most cases they are insured, federally insured. A lot of the times, reverse mortgages have gotten a bad reputation, and a lot of it has to do with lack of education, that the loan officers, the financial advisors have either taken advantage of people and put them in a product that isn't right for them, or the laws were different previously to where they got themselves in a bad situation. So the situation was this: you have two spouses living together, one's older than the other one. They choose to get a reverse mortgage on their house. They use all of the equity. They use up the reverse mortgage. They have great life together, and one of them passes away, the older spouse. The younger spouse during this time was then stuck with the loan that they were on. And what happens with reverse mortgages is either when you pass away or move out, the note becomes due. So the spouses weren't able to refinance the loan into a forward mortgage, and they were losing the house in foreclosure. That obviously created a lot of media attention to reverse mortgages that was negative, along with the impacted people during this event. So since then, we have changed the regulations, and you are allowed to put your spouse, regardless of if they're 62 or not, on the reverse mortgage. That way, when you pass away, you can ensure that your spouse is not going to get foreclosed upon. In some states, both spouses have to be 62, but others not. So check with your local lender on that. Like I had said before, you can stay in your house the entire time that your reverse mortgage is in place. The only time that you have to move out is if you pay back the mortgages if you've moved out or if you've passed away. And then you have to pay your taxes and insurance, just like you normally would. So I'm going to go through and just state some quick facts on this first video. I'll dive deeper into each scenario in the following weeks, but this is just kind of like a broad overview of the reverse mortgage. So first things first, you have to be 62 years old to get a reverse mortgage. You can get it past then, you can get it up to 98. You can get it as old as you want, but you have to be 62, at least one of the spouses on the reverse mortgage. There's three separate ways that you can structure it. So unlike a traditional forward mortgage, reverse mortgages, you can either get a monthly payment every single month. So as a forward mortgage, you get your mortgage statement, you pay $3,000 a month. Some goes to taxes, some goes to interest, some goes to principal, and that's your mortgage payment. On a reverse mortgage, every single month you actually get paid. So a check comes in the mail or direct deposit, however you have it set up, and every single month you get income, which is coming off of the equity of your home. Option 2 is a HELOC. So a HELOC is a home equity line of credit. You can actually get a HELOC structured with a HECM loan, which means that you have a line of credit. So that amount of money, that equity, you can always tap into. Let's say you turn 75 and you want to take your entire family on a vacation, but you don't have the funds or the liquid cash. Pull money out of your equity, make memories, and you can do that whenever you want. You could pull it out to buy a second house. There's lots of things that you could do to structure that. Third option is a lump sum payment. So when you get the HECM in place on your property, they give you the entire amount straight up front, and that goes in your bank account. You can invest that places. Again, you can buy a second house, whatever your situation is. Everybody's situation is a little bit different. So I would say the structure, and you can do also a combination of both. So you can get a HELOC for a portion and a lump sum. You can get a HELOC for a portion and you can still get monthly payments. There's lots of different ways that you can structure this, just like any sort of lending. So people nowadays, you know, when you buy your first house or a house that you think you're going to live in forever, you have babies. That's the stage I am. I'm raising my family in my house. Eventually my kids are going to grow up and they're not going to live there forever. So my kids may move across the country. They may stick around. You just don't know. And so some people are moving around the country in this age bracket because they're chasing grandbabies. They're chasing their kids. They want to be part of their lives. Some people are trying to create multi-generational living on one compound or one property where you have a house and an ADU and everybody's living at the same place. And some people just want a second house. Some people want to downsize, but this is the product I think that is going to help a lot of those movements in the next 5 to 10 years in this age group. So the loan is repaid. I've talked about this a couple times, but the loan is repaid when you pass away or when you move out. So if it's no longer your primary residence, then the loan is going to be called due. The other big myth about reverse mortgages is as soon as you pass away, regardless of what you have left on your mortgage or how much your house is worth, that it automatically goes back to the bank. That's a myth. So if you pass away, let's say you owned your house free and clear, you got a reverse mortgage on it, you have $250,000 out, but the house is worth $500,000, your heirs can still list it with a real estate agent, sell it, and they get the remaining equity of the house. Just like they would if it was owned free and clear. So I think that's one of the bigger myths that are attached to reverse mortgages, is that your heirs cannot tap into any of your existing equity after you pass away. And then interest is adding up over time. So on a forward mortgage, when you pay principal and interest, you pay every single month and the interest just keeps going down. With a reverse mortgage, it's the opposite. It's negative amortization. So every single month, the interest that the bank is earning gets added to the loan amount. So that slowly whacks away at your equity, and that's kind of the difference between a reverse mortgage and a forward mortgage. Next week, I will dive deep down into the different types of funding of reverse mortgages and how it could affect you and different thought processes that you probably didn't think about. So join me next week, and thanks for listening.